Hi, you all know it's Jim from the maverickstar Observatory. I thought I'd do something a little bit different whilst I'm still trying to figure out the master plan of where we're going to go to make some changes for this channel, because I think you'll agree something needs to happen. It's not growing very quickly. You know, I want to get it out there to more people about what's taking place in this unique time with the magnetic pole reversal. So I'm just trying, you know, to do specific pole shift videos as well as, you know, some other topics, because I know sometimes you guys like me delving into other topics, and I've got the star charts out again because I find this really fascinating. We're going to look at some of the synchronicity with some of the things, and just marvel at the geniusism of the Egyptians when they built the pyramids. So I'm going to grab the organic camera, which you're watching me on now, and just show you just a few things which was part of my own research, and then talk about, you know, what are your views on this. You know, did they have more technology than what we believe? I mean, are we really supposed to believe that they built these pyramids with copper hand tools that would soon go blunt very quickly, especially with working with granite as they did, and, you know, finishing it off to, you know, unbelievable perfect finishes, very smooth, very exact. It's almost like they did have technology that we certainly wasn't aware of back in the day. And one thing that really stands out to me is them lifting out the quarry, you know, complete obelisks around about 1,000 tons. You know, we are going to struggle lifting such weights even in this day and age. So, you know, if we're to believe that they had very primitive tools and methods, then, you know, it is very hard to believe that they wasn't using any form of technology. I think what a lot of people would argue that have studied, you know, the archaeology of the site in Egypt is that, you know, the height of their technology was just lever technology and counterbalance. You know, I find it very hard. Let's have a look at some of the things then that I've come across that I find really interesting. So we're looking at the star chart simply because it obviously, to me, makes sense to do that when you're looking at things like the winter triangle, and I'll explain why we're looking at that. If we look at a satellite photo of the pyramids looking down, we can see that they have been laid out in almost what is a mirror image of the star constellation Orion. We've got the two pyramids which are in alignment, as we can see there and there, and then we've got the one slightly offset. So there was definitely drawing our attention to a specific point in the sky. But not only that, one of the things which I found is that it's very close to the winter triangle and very similar to the shape of the pyramid in any case. But, you know, when we have a look inside the pyramid, we can see that there is, at the lower chamber, what is known as the Queen's Chamber, and then slightly off centre is the King's Chamber. Both of these roofs have points on them. It's almost like they was, you know, indicators of a direction. And it's, like I say, it could be just a sheer coincidence that when you look at the winter triangle in the sky and you put the Queen's Chamber, which is that little circle there, and then the King's Chamber, which, as you know, is slightly offset to the left, as it is, it tracks perfectly the centre of our galaxy. Now, for me, when I you know, first found this, I thought, well, maybe they knew at some point we would be able to work out that the King and Queen's Chamber was offset, and we would at some point perhaps have a diagram that we're looking at right now, and, you know, it wouldn't be too hard from that point to find these three stars that make up the winter triangle. And then when we did, if we just put the two most important chambers on that map, it would track centrally along the galactic centre line, by no mistake, I think. So they obviously knew a lot about the celestial stars, and this was being replicated, and it was done purposely to draw our attention, first of all, when you look down on the pyramids, to the star constellation of Orion, as we can see there, and then, you know, we might instantly recognise, you know, what is known as the Winter Triangle, or the three stars that make up the Winter Triangle: Betelgeuse, Procyon, and Sirius. We know that these three stars was very important in the Egyptians' culture, and you know, I've just never seen anyone else on YouTube that have talked about the pyramids that have also integrated the Winter Triangle. I have heard them talk about the star constellation a lot, but for some reason they've never mentioned the Winter Triangle. And you know, like I say, the Winter Triangle, if you've got a planisphere, it stands out obvious, as you can see on here. So these are your three stars that make up the Winter Triangle. Very obvious. If you're at, you know, a position on the Earth around the equatorial region, you will see it. The other thing is about the pyramids I find very interesting is obviously it is aligned north. So they had, you know, not just understanding of you know, the celestial sky in depth, they also had knowledge of, you know, the Earth's magnetics as well. And you know, it's no coincidence, I find, that these are aligned north. So very interesting. And even when you look at the pyramids in their alignment together and the one offset, if you turn you know, the Winter Triangle round, you will see there are the two pyramids, and the one slightly offset and in the same direction as the one on the map on the ground. You know, I don't think it was any mistake that they laid these down on there, and obviously was recreating what they were seeing in the celestial skies. And I bet you there is much more hidden truths about the pyramids that we haven't quite yet worked out. I know a lot of people think that the Winter Triangle, sorry, that the you know, the Egyptians were very crude in their methods of building. But you know, let's face it, as humans come any close to even monuments that last such a time. If we look at the tallest building in the world, which is the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, it takes at least 100 years for the concrete of that structure to reach its full potential hardness. So there's quite a few years left in there, and then 100 years after that point, the concrete will begin to get brittle, and you know, it just tells us that the structure has no less than on or around about 200 years of use before, you know, the structure fails. So, you know, when comparing the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest and most probably prestigious building in the world, to the pyramids are going to outlast it by thousands of years. There's a lot of speculation with some of the structures there in, you know, Cairo, which is where the pyramids are. One of them is, you know, the Sphinx. Some people think the Sphinx is a lot older than the pyramids, that it has shown signs of weathering, that it may have been underwater at some point for a prolonged period of time, that even the Nile could have flooded over to the Sphinx regularly, because there is definitely erosion marks that could possibly only be caused by water erosion around the lower half of the Sphinx. So, you know, it could be that the Sphinx has been there even well before the pyramids, and that begs the question then is, who put the Sphinx there and why did they do it? It's there's a lot of stigma attached to the pyramids, like, you know, the fact that they are situated 30 degrees north by 30 degrees west, exactly. Why was that the case? I was talking the other day about a object that was burned in the Temple of Osiris in Abydos, old Egypt, and it resembled this. The only thing that was different is it didn't have these round circles on it. It was the flare of life, and it certainly didn't have the names that I've added around the outside. One thing, though, that it did have, very suspiciously, is these triangles that was all around the edge. And after close examination of these, you know, I don't know if you want to call them keys. You know, if you've read the book of Solomon, they are obviously described as keys, diagrams like this. Or, you know, if you just want to call them works of art, but they obviously had a lot of meaning to the Egyptians, and the flower of life obviously has a lot of meaning to people within certain religions today. But I really found it unique that after careful, you know, examination of it, I found that there was 144 of these triangles that went round the outside of this. And I don't think that is by just mere coincidence. I think it was purposely done. And, you know, we are going to probably learn more about that specific number as time goes on. But, you know, in numerology and some of the work that I've done, you can look at it in a couple of ways. One way is that all those numbers add up simply to 9. Maybe that is the key to some of this mystery, and trying to unravel that mystery. But we will probably never know. But I do remember Nikola Tesla talking about a specific arrangement of numbers. He said 3, 6 and 9. If you could understand the true meaning of these numbers, then you would understand, you know, you'd have the keys to the universe pretty much. I just find it interesting that, you know, at 60 degrees we have the polar jet streams, as you can see. At 30 degrees we have the subtropical, and at 90 degrees, you know, we have the equatorial region. And, you know, if you just drop the zeros off all these, there is your 3, 6, 9. Again, sorry, not the equatorial region, sorry, the poles, north and south, would be at 90 degrees. So I just find it very interesting that our jet streams are at this. I also find it interesting that 30 degrees is equally important to our sun, because that is probably around about the boundary of the solar maximum when we get it, when there's a lot of sunspots within 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south. It's a good indication of the sun in its cycle. You can work it out just by simply knowing where the sunspots are on the disk. You know, the closer they get to the equatorial region of the sun is showing us that the sun is going into solar minimum. The further north they travel and further south is just another indication where, you know, we are with regards to that. Some of the other research I've done, and we'll look at this as well, because you know, you can put the Rodin. I don't know if you've heard of Marco Rodin and some of his work, but this is his Vortex base maths. This is his Vortex pattern. Again, the important numbers in this Vortex pattern, and I've not seen or heard a lot of from Mark Rodin. I have spoken to him personally about some of his work, and I've shared some of the work that I've certainly put together over, you know, the period of my time of researching these numbers. And I know that he hasn't had to date great success that he would have liked with the coil. I think that there is still something that needs to be added to that coil. I'm talking about the donut-shaped coil that he's built using his vortex-based maths. So yeah, there are a lot of other things to this vortex pattern, but I've got something very similar. Not this. This just points out again the importance of those three numbers when you start to break down, you know, the flare of life pattern into, you know, its lesser parts, if you want, or lesser petals. What you'll see is that, you know, if you start dividing 360 by 120, you end up equals 3. 360 divided by 60 is obviously 6, and then 360 divided by 40 is 9. And you know, so on and so forth. But something interesting about the 9 again is always in the centre of the Vortex base maths, and the numbers are arranged in a specific order. Well, I was hoping that I could find this same pattern that has been put on the Flower of Life, because it comes out the same. You can almost see it there. Look like, I'll just go for instance, 8 plus 1 equals the 9, 7 plus 2 equals the 9, 6 plus 3 equals the 9, and 5 and 4 equals the 9. I was saying again as well in a video the other day that, you know, there's something very obvious about our mathematics, and it doesn't matter what symbols you use to represent the numbers. You're going to find something very odd happens when you get to the 9 times table, that after 45 you get, then the next one will be 54, so it's reversed, and then from that point on all the numbers that you had on the top of the 9 times table start to repeat themselves backwards from the bottom on. If you just write out the 9 times table, it should slap you in the face what I'm talking about. But you know, when you start looking at the picture of the Flower of Life, what we've got with Rodin's Vortex maths, and this is what I showed him in the drawing that I had, is that 8 and 1 still form at the top, 7 and 2, as you can see, 7 and 2 on there, 7 and 2 make 9, 6 and 3 make 9, 5 and 4 make 9. So, you know, it doesn't matter what symbols you use to represent the numbers. This is going to be something very common universally, and for that reason, you know, we're not going to be the only ones that are aware of the arrangement of the numbers that come in with the number 9. There might be a lot more technology that probably can be used using those numbers, because obviously nature is obviously using these numbers in its creative pattern. We know that there is now, because of the universal equation, a binary system using 9s and 0s. It doesn't really matter what number you put in there, you're going to always come back to those numbers. So you know, there's a ton of stuff that I've got which I'm prepared to share in videos with you guys along these lines, just, you know, investigating some of the other mysteries in life, and just bringing you awareness of some of these things if you've never come across them. If you've never come across Marco Rodin's work, he's certainly well worth a research. I know he's got plenty of videos on YouTube. You know, he believes that there really is something there, and I do agree with him. We just need to work out what the significance of the arrangements of these numbers are, and how to apply it in a practical manner. Maybe technology, maybe we could end up with better you know, artificial intelligent computers, or even something greater than that. You know, there might be 9 levels of different technology that we can investigate just by simply understanding you know, the unique arrangement of these numbers in the specific ways that the universe will probably use them. And we already know what that is by, you know, things like the 9 times table stands out like a sore thumb, that the numbers that make up the 9 times table start to reverse after a certain point. So there you go, guys. You know, we really need to start to, I don't know, improve the situation with raising funding for the observatory. I've got to say that, and that is why I'm prepared to do these extra videos in order to do that. Another thing is, if you're interested, we're going to also, to try and raise some money for the observatory, because I know people do buy them when I make them, we're going to make another 6 of those colloidal generators, you know, the colloidal silver. And I suppose the reason why they're so popular is that because, you know, after the initial investment, if you're here in the UK, it's £80. I'll put the packaging because it's not a lot, but if you're in the United States, unfortunately, because it's airmail, it's got to be £95. That's sterling, not US dollars. If you type in on Google search dollars vs pounds, you'll get the conversion and you'll know what that is. But if you want one of those colloidal generators, so you can produce your own colloidal silver water, then, you know, just make a mention in the PayPal section when you put your money in there, and make a note of your address on there as well for me. And, you know, it's a 2-week lead time for those. but I'll do my best to get one out before that for you. So yeah, other than that, if you've got any other ideas on how we can improve things on YouTube, on the website, then I'm interested in listening, guys. You know, we're at crunch point here, and we don't want things to get any worse, you know, with regards to raising revenue for the observatory. So we're just prepared to do that little bit extra if we need to. Before I end it, guys, I've just got to say, I've spoken to Kendall in Canada. We have set the magnetometer up now for the next 48 hours. It will be doing a test run, and then all being good, and I'm sure it will be, it will go into its full monthly collection of that data, and hopefully within a few months we'll be able to see just how much Canada is dissipating with regards to that you know, magnetic intensity over its region. So, you know, again, we're always trying to push forward. I'm still trying to get one into Brazil. As you can imagine, Brazil is suffering at the moment with COVID-19. It's also suffering financially, so it's very difficult to find, you know, people that have got the time. They are prepared to invest a little bit of electricity, even though they don't require a lot, but still they are going to need a computer and things like that. And, you know, as you can imagine, with the situation over there at the moment, it is proving difficult, but we are still trying, and we are still trying to get one out into Russia. And I'm going to start pushing out, you know, my feelers over in that direction to see if we can, you know, speed that up and get one in there, because it's going to be great if we can get one in Russia as well as Canada like we've got now, and it's going to be great if we can get a muon detector and a magnetometer in that region of the South Atlantic anomaly, which is the lowest magnetic intensity on our planet. So guys, yeah, the links are down there. You know, what we need is help with financial support right now, and that's all there is to say. You know, I hope you've enjoyed what we've shared here. If you want to know more about it, then please you know, put it in the comment section down there. I read all the comments, I always do, and if I've got the time, I always, you know, occasionally try to answer all of them. I'll do my best again tomorrow to do that. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, bye for now.